All right, you guys, hello. I have thoughts today that I need to share with you, something that's been on my mind quite a bit in the past couple weeks. I've been thinking a lot about the student debt crisis and the fact that over 43 million Americans collectively owe $1.71 trillion in federal and private student loans. These are extremely significant numbers. These are huge debts that a lot of people in America owe, and this debt really has the potential to negatively impact so many other aspects of their adult life. My question is, how did we get to the point where teenagers, very young students with very minimal financial education, are able to take out student loans so easily, are collecting interest on these student loans during their undergraduate studies, and are graduating with some pretty serious debt before they ever even get a job? Young people have to go through so many more hurdles, preparation, and education to be pre-approved for something like a home loan, but for some reason with student loans, it's pretty easy to meet the criteria, take out those loans, and rack up some pretty serious debt. So why is it so easy to get one type of debt and not the other? That's really what I'm curious about. Well, grab your favorite fall drink, get a cozy blanket, get comfortable, you guys, because that is exactly what we are going to be diving into in this week's video. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Arena. I'm a real estate agent in the state of Oregon, and on my channel we talk about the latest updates in the real estate market, the workforce, and the economy at large, and why all of that information matters to you. I also occasionally post vlogs documenting my experience as a real estate agent. I'm hoping to post more of those in the future. I've kind of been slacking in that area, but if any of that sounds interesting to you, definitely make sure to subscribe and turn on the bell notifications so that you get updated every single time I upload. My husband bought me some pretty lilies. They've just started to open up, and I know I'm probably like a little bit off center, but I just want you to have a view of my flowers. So this is where I'll be sitting today. All right, you guys, so let's just jump right into it. I have my laptop here with some of my notes, some of the statistics that I wrote down. I can't memorize everything, so I will be looking down from time to time. But let's just start off with talking about, like, okay, how bad is the student debt crisis really? So in my intro, I briefly mentioned that we have over 43 million Americans that have student loan debt, that they owe $1.7 trillion. You guys, that is like a number that I can't even fit into my head. That is insane, and it affects a large majority of the population. And let's look at a couple other statistics. So 15% of all American adults report that they have outstanding undergrad student debt. So this isn't even just like going into graduate school or medical school or, you know, anything past undergrad. 15% of Americans have just debt from undergraduate studies, and 12.4% of student loan debt in repayment is delinquent as of March 2020. So people are late on their payments, they haven't been making their payments, which definitely does not bode well for their financial future, because as you know, if you make late payments, whether that's a home loan, student loans, your credit card, that negatively impacts your credit score, and if your credit score is low, that will affect your future ability to have other types of loans. Really, having a good credit score is important for your just overall financial health. So you guys, this is a crisis, and this is affecting a lot of people. So really, part of the issue lies in the fact that yes, debts are rising. More and more people every single year are finding themselves in student loan debt, but wages are not increasing to keep up with the amount of debt that people have. Not only are wages not increasing, tuition is consistently increasing. College is getting more and more expensive, I feel like literally every year. I mean, I personally haven't looked at college tuition costs in a hot minute, and even if I had, I went to community college, so that was a lot more affordable than some of the private universities and colleges that I was looking into when I was a senior in high school. That tuition, I mean, especially if you are going to an out-of-state school, if you're paying for room and board, plus, you know, textbooks, food. I don't know how you guys do it, how college students do it. It's hard, it's rough out there. So when all of these factors collide, what do we get? We get a large population of past students that are simply unable to repay their debt. And as their interest continues to compound and increase, that makes repayment of this debt even more difficult. So just to give you some tangible numerical evidence, the student loan debt growth rate outpaces rising tuition costs by 353.8%. We already talked about the fact that about 12% of student debt is delinquent as of March 2020, but collective student debt also increased 8.28% in 2020. And 20 years after entering school, half of student borrowers owe $20,000 on each outstanding loan balance. So this is a huge issue. This is bad. And really the reason I started thinking about this, because, you know, I am a real estate channel first and foremost, is I was really thinking about the fact that it is so easy to get student loans. It's pretty easy. I mean, especially if you're getting private loans. But for, you know, a loan like a mortgage loan, you really have to it's not insanely difficult, but there are many different boxes that you have to check, right? They are really wanting to make sure that you are in a financial position where you're able to pay for this house. You know, back in 07 and 08, during the housing bubble, right before the recession, the reason that we were having this issue, that we were in a recession, is because banks were really lending money for people to purchase homes. They were lending to people who were simply not qualified. They just were not qualified. They didn't have the income to justify it. They potentially had other loans that they had already taken out before. And because they were loaning out money to all of these unqualified people, of course, it was bound to happen. A lot of people were unable to eventually pay for their homes because they had loans that they weren't qualified for. And then they went into foreclosure. I mean, housing prices just completely plummeted. People were losing their jobs. It was awful. And so the reason I bring this up is because with student loans, they're also given out fairly easily. Yes, there are criteria that you have to meet, and I'm not the authority on student loans because I didn't ever take out student loans, but I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, it is much easier to get a student loan than it is to get many other loans out there. Just to illustrate my point, let's just take a look at what it takes to get pre-qualified for a mortgage loan versus what it takes to get pre-approved for a student loan. Let's just look into that for a second here. So, pre-qualification for a home loan, right? I mean, you need to have at least a 3% down payment. That's the first thing. So for like a $300,000 home, a 3% down payment means you have to have at least $9,000 saved up in order to purchase that home. So down payment. Then you need to have a good credit score. For a conventional loan, you need at least 620, although going higher is always better. You always get usually better terms, a better interest rate. So a good credit score, reasonable debt to income ratio. They really take a look at how much debt you have compared to how much money is coming in every month to determine, hey, does this person have a little too much debt? Are they a risky borrower, or are they pretty safe in terms of, you know, they have an income that can support another loan? So they look at that as well. Let's see, you obviously must be employed because they take a look at your income, and you must have enough money to set aside not just for the down payment, but also closing costs and an earnest money deposit. For student loans, however, pretty much the only criteria are that you need to be a U.S. citizen, you need to be enrolled at least part-time in an accredited college or university, and you need to have a high school diploma or a GED. Now, I am simplifying this a lot. There are different criteria depending on if you are getting a federal subsidized loan versus a private unsubsidized loan. We'll talk about the differences between those two briefly. With a private loan, they do check your credit score. If you don't have a credit score or a history of income, you need to have an adult with a good credit score co-sign with you in order to get that loan. So yes, there are criteria, don't get me wrong. They do go through a process of determining whether or not they actually want to lend that money to you if you are a trustworthy borrower. But still, I feel like it's a little too easy for people to take out student loans. And really, this started out with good intentions, right? So the whole purpose of student loans in the first place was to make college more accessible to more people so that a larger portion of the population would be incentivized to get a higher education. But is it really giving people an advantage when they're taking out money that they're going to struggle to repay in the future? I mean, you guys tell me. I'd love to hear what you think about this topic in the comments down below, because it's a tough one. The other thing that baffles me is the fact that in the case of bankruptcy, if you have to declare bankruptcy, for the most part, your mortgage loan can be forgiven. You can work out some sort of agreement with your lender. But when you are declaring bankruptcy, your student loans are not going anywhere. Through any life circumstance, you are going to have to figure out a way to pay off that student loan debt, which is mind-blowing. It's insane. It's very rare and very difficult to get your student loans forgiven. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments down below if you've had a different experience. But just the fact that it's so easy to take out these loans and then there's like practically nothing you can do, you have to pay them back, even in the case of bankruptcy, is, I don't know, to me, you guys, like that's really scary. So this is just really a topic that I've been thinking about lately a lot. It's been on my mind. I would love to hear what you guys think about this. If you personally have experience with student loans and you wouldn't mind sharing that in the comments down below, I would truly appreciate that, because again, I haven't taken out student loans. I don't have firsthand experience with this, so I can't necessarily speak with too much authority on this topic. I would love to hear your stories, whether they're positive or negative, if you feel comfortable sharing in the comments, because I want to hear, you know, different perspectives. But you know, I grew up and, you know, my whole pre-college preparation and experience was like, student loans are terrible, you can't take those out. And, you know, that's why I never did. I really wasn't allowed to. But I know that student loans also make it possible for a lot of people to pursue a higher education, to pursue education past undergrad. So I don't know, what do you guys think? Are they all good? Are they all bad? Or is it not really a black and white issue? A final point that I wanted to make in this video is that college is not necessarily for everybody. There are so many other life paths that you can take. College does not necessarily have to be a part of your story. I know that it can be hard, you know, for me, coming out of high school, I kind of thought that this is the way that you do things. Like, you graduate from high school, you go to a four-year university, you get a degree. I've kind of talked about my experience with this and my mindset with this in one of my previous videos. But really what I want to say is that there are so many opportunities in the world that we live in now, especially with the advances of social media. A lot of people are making money on, you know, Instagram, YouTube. I'm not personally there yet, so I can't really attest to what that's like. But you know, there are so many other opportunities, is sort of what I'm trying to say. There are so many other business ventures and ideas that you can explore, and I think that's a very exciting thing about living in this particular day and age. So really, I would encourage you to think outside of the box. If college is not for you, even if you want to take a break after high school, that doesn't make you a failure. And like, that's me like speaking to my 17, 18-year-old self too. It doesn't make you worse than your peers that have gone to a four-year college. Really, I hope that no matter what path you choose, you are financially responsible and you are happy and you are exploring career paths that really make you excited and passionate. Am I advocating for student loans to be more difficult to apply or qualify for? Not necessarily. I know that they can be very helpful in some cases, but just looking at these numbers and looking at all of the, you know, cumulative debt that is owed in America, it makes me worried. It makes me extremely concerned. I'm really thinking that if we were to prioritize financial education prior to giving these young people, you know, in many cases teenagers, loans, I think that would be so incredibly helpful. You know, what if there was a course or, you know, just something that students had to go through prior to getting that student loan that would really walk them through the implications, the consequences of taking out loans, what, you know, repayment of debt could look like in the future. So, you know, just being as transparent as possible so that people know exactly what they're getting into when they're applying for student loans. I think if we provided something like that, really prioritize financial education, I think that that would really help a lot. At least, you know, I hope that it would. I don't really know at the end of the day what the best solution would be. I don't know if we should really count on people to take care of their finances on an individual level, you know, individual responsibility type of thing, or if there should be some systemic changes in order to address this issue. Are student loans really serving students anymore, especially with the rising tuition costs and the amount of debt that people are racking up? I don't know. But this topic is really, really interesting and fascinating to me. I would love to, again, hear your thoughts about this whole thing in the comments down below. If there's something I missed, if there's something that I, said incorrectly. I absolutely appreciate all of your guys' feedback. That's very important to me. So definitely leave a comment down below. And I hope this video was interesting and beneficial for you. Let me know if you're a teenager planning on going to college soon. That's a super exciting time. I would love to hear from you and how your experience with all of that has been going as well. All right, you guys, I hope that you found this video interesting and beneficial, that you were able to extract some, helpful information from it as well. I'm really excited to continue the conversation in the comments down below. If you would like to support me and my channel, the best way that you can do that is to, again, subscribe, turn on those bell notifications, leave a like and a comment. Every bit of engagement under my videos is so appreciated. If you are a person that needs to buy or sell a home in the state of Oregon, again, I am a licensed real estate agent. I would be more than happy to help you out with that. All of my contact information is in the description box down below, so I would be more than happy to hear from you to help you achieve your home goals. If you would like to see more from me on a more daily basis, definitely follow me on Instagram, which is @ArenaD. I would love to interact with you on there, and I will see you next week for a brand new video. Bye!